Hello everybody and welcome to my channel, Lisa Horton Crafts. Today I thought I would share a little demo with you on how to use my layering stencils, 3D embossing folders and coordinating dies, teaming that perfectly with your Ulti-Mate multi-tool. This is the Ulti-Mate 2. We do have the Ulti-Mate 1 as well, which is available readily on our website and throughout stores in many countries actually. The Ulti-Mate 2 specifically was designed for use in the USA. However, it is sold worldwide also. So you can make a choice of which one you are interested in, but we will do a separate video on the ins and outs of the Ulti-Mate multi-tool number 1 and number 2. But for today, we're going to concentrate on some of my most popular embossing folders, stencils, layering dies. We've been doing this for a few years now, and we have discovered that we can really take your folders and stencils to so many levels. We're going to start with my 3D embossing folders, which create your alphabet and your numericals. This is the numerical, obviously, but you can see here these are the Ulti-Mate 3D embossing folders and dies. So when we're talking about Ulti-Mate, this means you can use them with your Ulti-Mate. This means they are just so 3D, and it also means that you can purchase separate items like a die which will create just the number 2, unlike the die in this pack, but also dies that will create these little flowers. So if you're looking to recreate this in another format using dies, you can do that by purchasing separate products, and I'll put those links in the comments below for you. What I will say about these is they are individual dies. They are not an individual embossing folder, they are individual dies. So when you turn this one over, for example, you can see inside here, let me open this for you. So here you can see these are your embossing folders. Let me grab a piece of dark card just to put that underneath for you. And there you go. You can see one folder here, 6 by 6, which will give you that 3D detail. Now, when you purchase the numbers, you purchase all of the numbers. They come in a bundle. You can either buy the embossing folders with the dies, or you can buy the layering stencils on their own if you choose that you don't want to emboss, for example. Or we sell them as a complete bundle also on our website. Our website is www.lisahortoncrafts.co.uk, and there is a lot of inspiration there as well. So you can click onto the gallery, you can click onto some of the videos which are linked in some of the products as well. So we never leave you on your own. We try and help you through that entire process. So getting back to the demo, so here's your numbers 0 to 3, and that is your 3D embossing folder. Now alongside that you are going to get the dies that coordinate, and they will come in the same pack as your embossing folder. In a separate pack will come your layering stencils, so they will come in a little envelope like so, and again they will be numbered. Let me open this as well for you. So this is how you will receive yours when you get yours home. So they're your layering stencils. Now alongside that, in this demo today, we're going to be using our champagne and roses. Now this is exactly the same principle, and when you turn this over you will see you get your embossing folder and you get your die, and then separately you will get your layering stencils. So it all works perfectly together. So today we're going to create a card using all of these items, and what I'll do is I will use the numbers to create the stencil, and then we will speed up the video a little bit and we will create the champagne and roses on a slightly faster speed, because you will have seen by then exactly how we use these products. So let's pop this down onto our Ulti-Mate, and we will bring in a piece of cardstock. What I'm going to be using as well are my blending inks. These are just some of my blending inks. So if you are interested in my blending inks, they are also on my website. They are fantastic. They literally blend like an absolute dream. And the beauty of these is that they don't muddy. So when you look at these colours, you think, how will I mix these together? But because they've got a chalky surface, they're going to be absolutely perfect to use on your layering stencils, because obviously we're going to overlay some colours at periods of time during this. Now, I don't know what colours I'm going to be using yet, so I'm going to kind of bring my colours around the edge of me, and we will decide as we go along what we feel like using. What I will say to you is you're going to need some blending brushes. Now, I use my Wonder brushes, which are these beautiful brushes here. I also use my stencil brushes. Now my stencil brushes are phenomenally successful. They are used by so many crafters in the industry. They are absolutely stunning, very easy to work with. They have a chamfered end, which makes it a lot easier for you to do a lot of your blending in smaller areas. So please, if you are going to use our blending inks and our embossing folders and stencils, these would be a really good addition to your stash. So let's get into this. As I said, the number stencils have 9 layers. So I'm going to show you exactly how we use each of these layers. So I find the best thing to do is take number 1. Now you won't be able to see this on the camera very well, but there is, no, you can't pick it up. In the top corner, there is always a number. And what I suggest you do is you get a Sharpie or a permanent marker. For example, let me just grab my marker here. Number 1, 9. Okay, so that's all our stencils marked, just so you can see it on the camera much easier. I'm going to pop all my stencils just up here. You won't see them all, but you will, as I bring them in, it will all make perfect sense. So what we do, number 1, we rotate our stencil to fit our pegs. So we pop that down, and we've got our piece of cardstock underneath. You can use a piece of A4 cardstock if you want to fill the base here. Now, because I'm using my Ulti-Mate 2, this does not have a magnetic base like the Ulti-Mate 1. Now, this is great if you have a pacemaker, if you've got a smaller area, if you already have a stamping platform. But this is brilliant for you because you have a silicone mat underneath. Now, the silicone mat stops your card from moving, but I do like to pop a little bit of low-tack masking just in case I knock something, I move something, the cat turns up, or there is some kind of disturbance that makes my cardstock move. So just hold that down very, very briefly. You can see here the detail, hopefully, the detail in the background is going to be the actual number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a grey ink pad. Let's open this ink pad up. And we're going to use one of our smaller blending brushes because I don't feel that I need a large brush for this. And I'm using the grey. It's the Cobblestones ink pad. Now, these are a chalky finish, so you're going to get a beautiful, beautiful blend on these. And you just go round in circles over the top like so. And this is the second part of it, the second part of number 1. Now, just be a little bit careful because there are some delicate areas, and what we don't want to do is lift those areas and get ink underneath where they shouldn't be. Okay, so you can already see what's happening. You can see where we are creating that beautiful, beautiful outline. Because I'm only using number 1 and number 2, I don't mind if the ink goes over onto number 3 because we're going to cut these out anyway very, very quickly and very, very easily. Just around here. And when you lift this off, you're going to absolutely see just how this begins to take shape already. I'm using grey because I don't want a black, because I find the black might be a little bit too hard for the florals that we're going to be popping on here. So just pop that down there for one moment. I might be coming back to that grey, who knows. Then all we do is lift that stencil off. Take it off the pegs, lift it off. Already you can see, but again, as I say, don't worry about that because we're going to cut this out anyway. So stencil number 1, turn it over face down. Grab the second stencil. And if you're unsure about what colours you need to use, all you need to do is pick up your packaging and look at it and think, okay, so here is where my holes are. So I'm going to turn it that way. Now, what have I got here? Look, oh yes, I've got some leaves here. So we're going to pick a green. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to pick a green here, which is our woodland moss. This is quite a dark green, but we will mix the greens up. We'll mix it up in a couple of layers. So over here, all over in those areas, and you can see why the blending brushes and the stencil brushes do very different jobs. So the Wonder brushes fill in those larger areas, and the stencil brushes fill in these smaller details for you. So just around here, like so. This comes together really quickly, and you might think 9 layers, but when you see the end result, you are going to be blown away. So, number 2, already, it's looking good. Number 3. Now, number 3, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, oh, what are these different areas? What do I need to do? So I grab my artwork again and I think, okay, right, we've got a little pink bit up here. We've got the flower in the middle, that's pink. So maybe we'll use pink on these areas. So we're going to pick up one of our blending brushes and we're going to come in with a pink. And we're going to literally, over the top, we're going to go in with the pink. Now remember, this is your base colour of the pink because there are more layers to go over that pink. So what I want you to do is just be a little lighter with this pink colour. And we're doing pink on 1 and 2 simply because we want the numbers to work together, because we're going to create the numbers 21. Look at this. Isn't that coming on beautifully already? So that's number 3. Let's bring in number 4. And again, you're unsure. Let's bring in that artwork. So I can see these are different flowers here, and I've got this little area here that you may not pick up on camera, but there's little tops there that need inking. So on my picture, it's a yellow. So we'll bring in the yellow. So you can absolutely replicate what I've done if you want to. If you don't, you can use your own colours. These would be great in monotone colours as well. Maybe different shades of blue or different shades of grey. They're going to be absolutely glorious. So again, we'll come in with our beautiful yellow. We're going to be light with the yellow on this occasion. Maybe not here, because I don't think I'll need an extra layer there, just by looking at the size of the area. And then we'll come over here, see what we're missing here. Yes, that's going to be stunning. Okay, just around here. And you might find that my colours look a little bit different to the packaging, but you know, it's entirely up to you how you change it up. Okay, look at that already. How super pretty is that? Next layer, layer 5 already. So now you can see why the pink was a little lighter, because what we're now going to do is go in with, I think, maybe a red. But you could go back in with a pink if you wanted to and just press a little bit harder. I feel like the sugar candy red would be quite nice, because it's a warm red. It's not a harsh bluey red. Look at that. That's going to be glorious. Oh, so pretty. Super pretty. And you can see this one has got less detail than that one, but that's fine. That's just the way the flower looks. There we go. How cool is this? Layer number 6. Let's go in with number 6. Now again, there's a lot of detail on here, but I feel, although I've got yellow underneath, if we put that red over the top, it will give us a pinky tone or an orangey tone maybe. So let's try it. Let's not put any more on the brush. Let's just go into those areas and see what happens. If we don't like it, it really doesn't matter, does it? We can change it. So let me lift that up. Now that's quite nice. So we'll keep that as it is. We'll come over this side and we'll do the same over here. Just pick that up, pick some of this up over here. Oh, this is pretty. This is going to be so lovely when it's done. I really like that. You can see it taking shape now completely, can't you? Just a couple more stencils to go. Number 7. Here we are. And of course, you don't have to do as many layers if you don't want to. You can keep it just a couple of colours. Now I'm still thinking, I like this red, so I'm going to pop over here with the red. And now I'm learning, and now I'm thinking I'm going to mix some of these colours up. So I like the red there, but I might want this flower a different colour here. So again, little berries here, we'll keep those red. And here we will have that red as well. And oh, there's a berry here. I've just noticed that berry. Red. But that little flower there, I'm going to change. Oh no, missed a couple. Look, missed a couple down there. So you find that happens, but you'll learn once you get to use them often. You will learn what goes where really. Number 8 coming up now. Now this stencil is really important. So what we did before is we brought in our green, didn't we? And I hope you can see there's some leaves coming down here. Yeah, so let me bring in my artwork again. So we've got leaves coming down here, yeah, and then over here we've got centres of flowers. And I kept them all green on the packaging, so you only use one colour per layer, but you can change these up. You can do whatever you want because this is your own creation. So in here, while I've got the red, I'm just going to pop that in the middle of that flower and make that a little darker, all right? Like so. So when I lift that off, I've got a little red centre. And I might need a little bit more red just for the centre, a little bit darker. And then we'll go into that centre there. There is smaller stencil brushes, but I'm just using that because I've got the colour on that one. We're going to change things up very slightly. Now, you don't have to do this. If you have a different green, you can do that. I have another green in a different set, but I'm just using set 1 for today of my inks. So I'm going to go in where the green should be with the yellow. And what we're going to do is all over those areas, we're going to go yellow. And you think she's probably gone crazy. Why is she colouring all her leaves in yellow? Well, you don't need to worry. You absolutely don't need to worry because we're going to change this up in just a second. Here we go, just around here and that little bit down here. So I've now covered all the leaves, strangely, in yellow. But what we need to do now is bring in, let me find the right colour, the colour I'm after. Surf's Up, that's the colour we need. Now Surf's Up, obviously is a nice bright blue. These two look similar on camera, but when you, this has got a more of a purple tone. Do you see what I mean? Oh, that's good. That's glaring in the light there, but that's a very beautiful colour. So you've got very different tones of blue, and that's the reason we did this. So let me pop this over here. Yeah, it's looking very different on my camera to what you can see. Anyway, so now what we're going to do is we're going to use the blue, but we're going to use our stencil as a palette to take off some of that colour, okay? And then we're going to go over the top of the yellow. And of course, what's it going to do? It's going to turn that yellow and mix it with the blue and create green. But it's going to create a different tone of green to what we've already got. So you're going to get a kind of more vibrant green against the woodland moss green. That's all you need to do. Make sure you clean your stencils afterwards because they're going to be a bit grubby. Look at that. Oh, isn't this so pretty? And then we're going to come in with our, look at this. We're going to come in with our beautiful, beautiful layers. I feel that, hang on a second, have I missed a stencil? Count my numbers again. Lisa, yes you have. Now this is a really good thing to show you. I would say I did this on purpose, but I didn't. Stencil 7, look, I missed this. Could you see what I've missed? I've missed the flower. So I've got to number 9 and I'm thinking, well, that's strange because I haven't got a colour underneath that. There's a gap there. But because we have our peg system, I can go straight back in. Look at that. So I can now pick up that flower. And actually, oh, do I want to bring in a little bit of blue? No, I don't think I want blue. I think I might go with an orange. A very light orange, I think. So let's use our yellow brush. Take a lot of the colour off. Just go with that orange. So please don't worry if you miss a layer, like I've done. But now that's filled in, so I'm more than happy. Make sure you put them back in the right order and then come in with number 9. So how handy having this system is it? Because if you'd done it any other way, you would have to lift things off, wouldn't you? And that would be really frustrating. So now we're going darker with the orange there. Yes, and then I'm going to leave the orange off. These are our dies we're going to be using to cut them out. Now what you need to know about the dies is there's some extra little pieces in your dies. I'm going to bring this down just a little bit closer to me so I can see what I'm doing. Now this is the first time I've used it, so it's a little bit sticky on the back, so I'm going to just because it's still got a little bit of the tape on there. So let me just pop that down like so, and then I will tape this like so, and I'm going to tape at the bottom as well because I don't want this moving, because I really want to keep that central. And then we'll do it to number 1 as well. Now, number 1 doesn't have a second die because there are no open areas. I felt when I created these that we needed to cut out. So let's take that one. Try and keep it off the ink if your ink's still wet, because we don't want to lift your ink when you lift the tape up. I can't get in much closer than this. I might try and switch the camera over in just a second if I can, but if not, I will leave it as it is. And let me bring in my tweezers. These are reverse grip tweezers on our website. So I'm going to take this die, and then if we turn our card a little bit, and we're going to line it up where we think it should be. Now, I feel it should be around there. And I'm going to take my tape. You don't even have to cut this piece out. And I'm going to pop that just like so it does not move. Now, this is a little bit of trial and error. So maybe you'll do one and you'll think, well, I didn't get that quite right. I need to move it down next time. So again, this is a learning process. And I always say, this is something I say when I'm on TV, your first one is always your worst one, because it's your learning curve almost. So I'm using my Spellbinders Platinum here, and I'm going to pop this onto my Platinum. And I will pop the lid on, and I'm going to cut these out now. So I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. Okay, so now we can lift this off. This has moved very slightly, but again, you can spend a lot more time than I have today on lining yours up. So there we go. Actually, it's not so bad. Look at that. There's your number. How pretty is that? This one, again, I'm going to leave that tape in place. Okay. Now leave that tape on that die if you can, on that little one in the middle. And I'll tell you for why, because I think it's lined up beautifully, which will mean going forward, if I know that's in the right place, I don't want to move it. So take your tape off, take any spare tape off, keep that in exactly that position. Store it like that, because we now know that's the right spot for that. So look at that. There's your numbers, 21. So these 2 dies, I'm now going to take some black card, and I'm going to cut them in black card also. So now we have our embossing folder. Okay, so we keep all of this together, and let's find a piece of black cardstock, and I'll show you what we do next. You can see now you've got the exact replica artwork here. Look at that. How beautiful are they? I do this individually. I feel when you do it individually, it stops things from moving around. So you open your folder, you pop this inside your folder, and you line it up. So you take your left hand, if you're right-handed, you take your left hand, and once you lined your top piece up, hold it into position where you've got it. And then you can use your bottom finger to rotate and get it into the right spot you want, and then you close down your folder. When you're using your Spellbinders Platinum, take away all your plates, keep your base plate, and bring in your grey adapter plate. And that's all you need to do. So let's do number 2 as well. So you take your right hand, you line the top up, and then you wiggle the bottom until you have it into position. They are super easy to line up. So we've done exactly the same thing with both. There we are. So there's our number 2 and our number 1. We're now going to bring back in our Ulti-Mate 2. So we've got our workstation here. So if we look here, we've got our 20. Now this is what I mean about the card doesn't move. So the card isn't moving anywhere. 21. How lovely is that? And then we take our 2 and we offset it just a touch, just to give you that beautiful drop shadow. This is what I love about the system. It makes life so easy. So now I'm going to use some glue, and we are going to glue our card together. Just don't need a lot of my glue. It's a low water content. It's quite a thick glue. but it absolutely bonds whatever you need it to bond. So I feel like I'm deciding which side to do the drop shadow. I feel like I want to go that way, actually. So I have to shadow this side, I feel. I like that, like so. That's showing quite a bit of that. That's what we like. And we'll do number 1 as well. So I'm very happy with that. The next thing we need to do is work on our main focal image. So the main focal image of this card is going to be our layering stencils, dies and embossing folders using the champagne and roses. This is exactly the same principle, and I'm going to show you how this works. So I've already got my stencils open and ready. Now I'm not going to emboss this, but you can do exactly the same. You can emboss and die cut your image out if you want to. But for today, I feel I don't want to do overkill on the embossing. So we're going to stick to the stenciling, and we will take down just a little bit, just in case. I don't feel we're going to really need it, but we will take down. Now let's bring in one of our blending brushes. I'm going to go slightly bigger on blending brush this time because we've got a larger area. What you can do is, if you want to colour your, this is what's contained in your glass, which is the pink here. So I'm going to keep it all pink, and I'm going to do a little bit of shading on this. Let's do the big reveal. Take that off. Okay, so now we have some choices to make. Do we need to cut this out? And actually I'm thinking, yes, we do, because this then becomes a very big card otherwise, and I don't think I want it as a really big card. So we're going to take our die and we're going to cut this out. So let's revisit this. I now feel that we don't need the black in the background of the card blank. We're going to reduce the size of the card blank. We're not going to emboss this because I like it like it is. So we're going to turn our card around. I'm going to open the card because I like a top folding card. Let's get our glue on the back of this first. Let's make sure this looks all nicely matted and layered with our drop shadow, just to give a really cool look. So that's beautifully done. Again, this is a very big card, so we need to make some decisions. I feel that's going to work. But I do need to trim down this card because I'm not happy to have such a big card. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer and I'm going to take off a good inch. Now this is very thick card. Let's have a look at the height as well. And this is what I do with all of my projects. Oops, got that like so. Just trying to think how I'm going to do that. Kind of quite like that. So I've taken off an inch, so it's a six inch card. I might take a little bit off the bottom, not a lot, just a tiny bit. So it's just over 6 inches. I feel we need some foam pads on this. I feel we need to raise some of this up. I'm going to bring in my Surf's Up. This we need to be really careful. Take some grubby tissue. Grab a blending brush. Keep it nice and clean. Wipe off as much as you can. And then roughly, very lightly, underneath where you think you're going to be popping your image. Add some ink again off, because you don't want anything, because I've not got an edge here, because if you go directly on here, you might end up with almost like a lump of colour, and we just don't want that. But we do need something to ground this. So it looks very strange, doesn't it? But when you pop that, what an absolute difference that makes. It completely changes the look. So I feel I need a little bit more, and it almost makes it brighter in many ways. Okay, that's perfect. This is going to look really good. So now look at that. How is that? So pretty. So let's get some foam pads, layer this up. Again, these are available on my website. You get a roll of, I think it's about 2,000 of these. So let's turn this around like so and add on our foam pads. Pop this down. Now I always put a little bit of glue on the back as well, because although my glue is fast bonding, it gives you that tiniest little bit of wiggle room if you're unsure. Okay, so now I'm gonna pop that where I think I want it. Got ink all over my hands. Lay that down. I feel that's going to be perfect. You could, if you want, just put a sentiment there, or you can now come in with your 21. Now the 21, I'm not going to add on foam pads. We're going to leave that to sit like so. So there we are. There we have it. There is our beautiful, beautiful card using all of our embossing folders, layering stencils and dies mixed and matched. I just think it's just such a special card, but very simple and very, very achievable.